On diligence, we went a little overboard, but we got a lot of good things talked about. So, do we have the roll call, please?
Councilmember Johnstone? Here. Councilmember Riggs? Here. Councilmember Thompson? Councilmember Goodson?
Here.
Councilmember Weber?
Here.
Vice Mayor Smith?
Here.
Mayor Pittman?
Thank you. From closed session, we provided direction and no reportable action. Thank you. I kept forgetting that word. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance? And we have some folks here to provide direction for us. So, welcome.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having us. We're from Ophir Elementary School.
My name is Aiden Bazil. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance helps form a connection to our country, the United States of America. We are a country with diverse population. Saying the Pledge of Allegiance instills a sense of patriotism for all people.
My name is Riley Huffman, and we say the Pledge of Allegiance. We honor the flag and everything it represents.
We say the Pledge of Allegiance to start our day at school, to begin official meetings or ceremonies, and we honor the flag at special events and like ball games.
We would like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Salute.
Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ophir School, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next item is proclamation declaring May 2023 as Building Safety Month. Who do we have for this?
Mayor Pittman, we have our building official here, Allison,
Okay.
or Allison Schmidt. She has a last name.
Actually, if we may, I think the very first item is to adopt the agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
That's all right. We're moving fast here.
I
I move that
adopt the
we-
agenda.
I'll second that.
Moved and motioned. Roll, please.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you very much. All right, we're back to proclamation declaring Building Safety Month.
And again, we have our building official, Allison Schmidt, here to receive that proclamation. We have our whole building staff here for recognition as well. And so we'll have Allison come up.
Good. Come on up. We'll put you right along here, all right?
I was wondering what I were all up to.
Come on.
Those knees still work? Private joke. All right. Well, welcome. Nice to see you all. The City of Oroville proclamation recognizing May 2023 as the Building Safety Month. Whereas the City of Oroville recognizes that our growth and strength depends upon the safety and essential role our homes, buildings, and infrastructure play, both in everyday life and when disasters strike. And whereas our confidence in the resilience of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, plumbers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a nonprofit that brings together local, state, territorial, tribal, and federal officials who are experts in build environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, and play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is to remind the public about the critical role of our communities largely unknown protectors of public safety. Our local code officials who assure us of safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas each year, the observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider a commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and fire agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, I, Mayor David Pittman, in concurrence with the Oroville City Council, do hereby proclaim May 2023 as Building Safety Month and encourage all the community members to join us in our commitment to ensuring a safe community through responsible building practices and honoring our local building department for their dedication to our community. Thank you all. You are a very important aspect of our entire community and the safety of buildings. And as a testament, I was in this building on August 1st, 1975, when the earthquake hit, and I watched this building move from out in the middle of the street. It's still here. So good luck with everybody. Thank you all. You can all sit down now. Thank you. Thank you very much. You bet. Thank you, Rick. Hey, Tom, how you doing? Thanks to the building department today. It's very, very nice honor. All right. Next item, presentations concluded, is public communication. Hearing of non-agenda items. This is a time to address the council about any item not listed on the agenda. If you wish to address the council on an item listed on the agenda, please follow the directions listed above. So anyone on non-agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 speakers. Our first speaker is Jason Hare.
All right.
How you doing, Council? Thanks for giving me a minute. I'm here representing Veteran Adventures. It's a nonprofit here in Oroville, helping veterans out through recreation. And we are having our 3rd annual Memorial Beach Bash party at Riverbend, Saturday, May 27th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's free for veterans and $5 for everyone else. And just wanted to stop by and formally invite the council to it.
Say that the date again?
May 27th, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, thank
Very
you.
nice invitation.
I've already got it in my calendar.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Tom Turk.
I'm here this evening to ask a favor of you. I wish to pass out a personal invitation to each one of you counselors for the State Theater event, our Night of Southern Gospel Music at our historic downtown State Theater, which we've been promoting for a number of years now. Our first appearance there with this gospel music night was in 2015. So we've been fortunate enough to come back when it's been open, and so we'll be there again. And we have a group of professional musicians and vocal songs that I'm sure everyone will just be able to come in and sit down. It's a free event. No one pays anything to go into the theater or is asked to pay anything. And so we appreciate your participation. And with your approval, could I walk up and give each of you an invitation?
Sure. Can you publicly say date and time?
I'm sorry.
The date and time, yes.
Yes. Doors open at 6 o'clock. Our marquee says 6:30, but that's when we start the music. So we'd
Okay.
like people to come at 6 o'clock or whatever, you know,
All right.
to have a seat.
And what date?
Next Tuesday,
Next Tuesday. All right.
May 9th.
Excellent.
And I picked the night that the council was not having in session, so.
All right.
I need a break.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love to see you there.
I have a feeling she's putting it in the calendar as we speak.
I am doing well.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, David.
Appreciate it. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know, what I'm gonna do is, I have some extras, I'll set them on that banister right there, and as you
Okay.
go out, if you wish to take one, help yourself, okay?
Thank you,
for your-
Tom.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
the
time.
invitation.
Okay.
And next one?
And our next speaker, or our last speaker for this section is Bill Spear.
Mr. Spear, come on up.
Vice Mayor, City Council, come this evening. The verse and a prayer. The verse is Matthew 7:7. Ask and you shall receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open. So I'm going to continue to, as long as I can, Lord willing, show up and ask and seek and knock for God's wisdom, God to move in our community. A couple weekends ago, we had an event at the Convention Center, 22 churches all working together in Oroville. And that's from a lot of prayer and getting together, and God is changing things in our city. So Father God, we thank you for your word. As it says, ask and you shall receive, and we come asking this evening for your blessings upon our city, upon our city council. Lord, that they take away from their family and all the things that they're doing and come to serve the city. And we pray that you would bless them for their sacrifice, bless them for their efforts, bless them in all they do. Use them, give them that supernatural, give us all that supernatural wisdom. Let us see the opportunities that you are giving us to make a difference, to access heaven and make your kingdom come, your will be done. Here in Oroville, we pray for our police and the fire and the code enforcement, the building officials. Thank you for all of them, all of the ones who are working behind the scenes for the betterment of everyone. We thank you for the Hope Center and their faithfulness, and also working to clean up the city, taking from the least of these and giving them jobs and getting their lives turned around. The Hope Center, or the Rescue Mission, we thank you for what you're doing there, Lord. I've seen them faithful for years and years, and I see what you have done amazing. And I just can pray for Pastor Allen, that you would continue to give him, as we ask for us all, that supernatural wisdom, Lord, as we go forth into this new year, making a way for the homeless, making a way for the struggling, for the least of these. For your word says, what we've done to the least of these, we've done unto you. And so we thank you, we praise you, we give you all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Mr. Mayor, that is the last of the speakers on this section.
Thank you. Looks like the next item is the consent agenda. Any council have any comments about consent agenda?
I move that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Call the roll.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Next item we have is the regular business, item number 4, consider and adopt salary ranges for Chief of Police and Assistant Chief of Police. Here comes Liz, all right.
Oh, sorry.
No. It's on now.
There it is.
Yeah,
You're good.
All right.
you're good.
All right. So this item is before you to establish a salary range for the chief of police and for the assistant chief of police. The salary that Chief LeGrone was put at was not on the salary schedule, so we wanted to incorporate that per PERS law. And then we wanted to establish the assistant chief salary range so that we can go forward and recruit for that. So be happy to take any questions.
Any questions of the public at all?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any public speakers on this item.
All right. Council, questions?
I motion that we approve the master salary schedules, including the salary range for chief of police and assistant chief of police.
I'll second.
Call roll, please.
Good job, Liz.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you. Next item, number 5, revised Community Development Director, Public Works Director job specifications. Is that?
Yeah, I'll take
Mr.
this
Wren?
one.
All right.
Yeah, so the council here is to consider the, the division up of our current community development department. As we've, as I've seen in the few months I've been here, the community development department is currently comprised of a number of departments, all the functions under public works and all the functions under planning and building. And it's recommended that we divide these two functions up. We have a public works department with traditional public works services, fleets, sewer, parks, trees, engineering, and then for the planning and building side, have planning, building, and as well as recycling. And what we feel pretty strongly about this, having individual leadership in both of these departments is going to provide much better guidance for both those, more focused channel leadership in both those departments, and it's going to provide a lot better services for our residents. So we would be adding one department head. That's not currently in the budget, so that's the cost to adding this, but I think the benefits certainly outweigh that.
Any public comment on this?
Mr. Mayor, I do have 2 public speakers. Our first speaker is Brian Wong.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Councilors. So I am speaking tonight to request that the community has input into the community development role. We have a lot of challenges that we've had to face in the last few years, especially, we had like quite a bit of turnover in the building department. So when one set of people come in, we know that like the requirements change and many things change. So there's other aspects of community also. So we have, business development, other needs in different areas of the community. So I just want the community to be able to kind of like have some input on if we're going to define the roles of the community developer or development director, what those roles are, and just help facilitate the operations of different groups within the city. So I just want the opportunity for the public to give input. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
And our next speaker is Bill Spear.
Yeah, I totally agree with Brian, and I think that it really is wisdom to get more organized and to have it separated. And I think that the recruitment process will work out really good, bringing talent to our city. And I would also caution a little bit. I know that it wasn't very long ago that we were getting ready to file for bankruptcy, and the benefits to doing this is going to far outweigh the cost, but we do need to continue to be mindful as we build these two different departments of our spending. But it is vitally important, and as our community is growing, if we like it or not. We have all this new housing, and it's going to be all these people here, and if we manage it correctly, our city could really grow and prosper. I think this is a very important position, and that we should have input from all of the community. And I'm glad that we're here, and I'm glad that we're moving forward on it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Mayor, that is the last of the public speakers.
I see Vice Mayor Smith on the queue.
Yeah, I think as we've had discussion about this, that there's a lot of wisdom in separating these two very different roles that I think would provide a higher level of service to the community. And one person handling it can be at times a bit overwhelming. And then another point, I was looking at the salary schedule. Recently at a BCAG meeting, I think it was Casey Reynolds, as they were digesting issues related to transportation, there was a grant that they missed up there. And, just one $500,000, $1 million or more grant missed just because somebody, there's so much to watch and you can miss things. So just one grant being missed because there's too much on one person's plate could well pay for a salary for multi-years. So I think just that point alone makes a lot of sense to move forward with splitting these two very different roles up.
Oh, go ahead, Councilman Goodson, go ahead.
Thank you. I just had a question for Liz. Is that job description for the community development director open for public view if they were just to have a conversation with you? Okay, and then, all right.
And then Councilman Weber?
Yeah, thank you. I'm just on the heels of what our public speakers were saying too. I just was curious, how would we, if we did entertain the idea of a public input, how would we even go about doing that? Is there some way you could direct us in that, Mr. Huber?
Yeah, you can. So the the most common form of public input is you receive it right here at a council meeting. Individuals can come, they can bring their thoughts and concerns and their proposed modifications if they don't like what is listed. They can always submit it by email if they would like. The other thing is I would recommend, if individuals have strong feelings about it, to contact council members directly and to express those concerns directly. It's somewhat unusual for an item like this to have a separate public meeting where you would invite public comment on it. But if it were some major public project, I would suggest that you hold for lack of a better term, a scoping meeting, right? Where you would want the public to come and to give their input as to what they hope to see ultimately in that eventual major project or whatever it was you were doing. For something like this, I would suggest keep it basic. Just invite individuals to come talk to you, to send you emails, to mark up, the job description as it may be. At least from what I understood from the comments, it was about the specifics of the job description for one of the positions and not necessarily about the splitting of the two positions. So that's why I'm focusing on that. So if that were the case, then I would have them either mark it up, talk to you about it, send it in by email, talk to you about it, over the phone, in person, what have you. Coming to the podium for a 3-minute, one-sided conversation is not necessarily the best method of communication. It is one that's prescribed by state law. However, it doesn't mean you can't get that information outside of this meeting.
Councilman Riggs?
I was just gonna, to that point, also share that this person, if we separated this person reports to council, and council works alongside the community to set the priorities. So I think that it might be more appropriate that that conversation be about what that person's priorities are, and that we remain with the job description that's fairly vague instead of specific, because a specific need that we have now might not be the same need we have in 10 years. However, job description stays pretty similar. So I think that the public input on any position is important, but really what's most important is when this council is setting our priorities for the year and what our expectations or hopes are for each department, that all citizens really engage in that process. And that there was the opportunity for that, and there will continue to be the opportunity throughout the coming years, I would assume. That's all.
Thank you. I put myself last. One of the interesting things we had at the State of the City when we mentioned our priorities and the topic of public works and roads was mentioned, I damn near got a standing ovation. Any road fixtures was a popular topic, and it doesn't seem to be only our community, it's many others. But I will reiterate what Vice Mayor Smith said at BK. That's one of our things that we need to have, is that constant communication of someone hooking up with all the road projects. And he was very right. Casey Reynolds wasn't too happy because the city of Chico missed out on about $20 million that went to Paradise. And good for Paradise. I mean, I have no problem with that, but she's sitting there in the Chico with more population and didn't see one of that at item. And it just was the fact that their staff just didn't have time to work on that project. So, and the same thing for us. I mean, we have a small amount of staff doing a lot of work. And I think that public input is going to be valuable to all the council members, as the city attorney mentions, just to let the public know the process here is we now have a direction for having the two positions. If we approve them tonight, then we'll start the recruitment process. And the recruitment process typically means that whoever applies will review the applications, and then they'll come in a closed-door session to the council for the interviews and questions and that kind of content. So if we started today, I would be lucky to have someone in one of these positions by 3 or 4 months from now. And I'm being very conservative when I say that. So this process is going to go ongoing. And the clarity right now is we're setting, this is the way we want to do it. We're going to get the job apps out there. We're going to start the recruitment. And please contact your council members anytime with any information you have and concerns about it, because that process that we have in selection will be certainly a great discussion to have. And then, in the interviews, we ask a whole series of questions. We have to ask the same question to each person the same way. There's a very rigid formula that we have to follow in that selecting an at-will position like this. So don't think tonight we're appointing anybody. This is just the beginning of the process. So. Vice Mayor Smith.
Yeah, with all due respect to parliamentary procedures, would it be appropriate the two speakers didn't burn up their 3 minutes, so to speak? Just to ask them, is this about priorities, or is there specific things as they reviewed the job description that there was concern about, just to kind of get a feel? Because I'd like to move forward tonight, and get this across the board.
Yeah. Speaking of parliamentary, not limited by the 3-minute.
Right.
I understand that, but just backing up and then asking them after they've already spoke. I just want to make sure we're not crossing a line here. So so of the two of you, is this more about priorities, or is there actually issues that you saw within the job description itself?
Vice Mayor Smith, actually it's both. Because, when we do our projects, we spend a lot of time with city staff. So like, in order for us to be effective at what we do, because we know like all the needs of Oroville, we've been talking about these issues that we want, whether it's higher income housing, improving the schools or anything, we want to be part of these programs and investments in the community. So whomever this person is, we're going to have to work with them for a long time. And I hate to say this, but like you guys are all elected, but the person that's going to have this role might outlast all of you. So we want to have a very strong relationship with this person, and it's a person that we can work with. So that's the one intent. The other intent is there's a lot of needs in the community that we're aware of. Because we talk about the need for housing for the doctors and all these other areas that we're aware of. So we've been talking about these issues for a long time already. So there's a lot of like knowledge from people who have been thinking about these problems, that if we have like a person that we're gonna hire to come in and do this role, we just like to give like some of our input on some of the things that we've discovered and thought about and how to resolve these issues. So it might be homelessness, it might be other things, but these are many issues, that we have in the community. And there's a lot of that knowledge in the community already. So it's nice that to include the community in the process, so that, after this role is assigned, that this person doesn't have to, kind of get up to speed on a lot of the things. The public is already involved in guiding already.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I know that both these roles have garnered a lot of frustration at times, because they both affect our community so much, whether it's roads, obviously the potholes. If you follow social media, it gets a lot of attention, especially in the spring. And obviously with community development and economic development, buildings, planning, that type of thing. So, I mean, it really is important that we get this right. Would it be too much to let this go one more cycle in the next council meeting to allow for additional public input?
Well, let me ask some questions, because what I heard from the speaker was both. And then the explanation I heard was all one. So what specific changes would they recommend to either the Director of Community Development or the Director of Public Works in the job description itself? I have no issue with community involvement, meeting with them, getting expectations, giving information, all of that. No question about it. But as it relates to the job descriptions, I didn't hear a single thing about the job description needs to change here or there, and so that's why I would ask, is it really both? Because it didn't sound like it from, and again, I'm not trying to be nitpicky, but to me, right now, all we're talking about is the job, splitting these into two, and the job descriptions. And if there are no modifications or issues with the job description, but it's really about sort of, interviewing the person, how you get their feeling and their flavor, and how are they going to work, how are they going to interact with the community and the developers, which is incredibly important, very important. But that's not really a job description component. That's really more of a personality. Is that the right person for the job? And you all as a council conveying who you want, to the potential applicant and saying, are you that applicant?
And I
Does that make
appreciate
sense?
it. No, to perfect sense, and I completely understand thoroughly what you're stating here. And again, it's more, the job description is more the 30,000 foot, as opposed to drilling down into priority setting and unique makeup of that individual and how they're going to bring their skill set to the table. Kind of two different things.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I'm just hearing the concerns and knowing that this has been a topic of frustration, especially among some of our business owners over the last several years. And I'm asking the question, and in particular the council, would giving some public input opportunity through email make sense, or are we comfortable with moving forward? I'm kind of on the edge personally.
Yeah,
I could go either way.
I will tell you, in my years of being the city attorney since 2010, I've never had anybody come in and say, this job description is just wrong. What I have heard is that individual did something, it's the city's policy needs to modify, but it isn't about the job description itself necessarily. But again, I don't want to presuppose. So if there are specifics about the job description, because again, that's to put sort of the blinders back on, that's what this item is about. If there are specifics related to the job description that individuals in the public think need to change, let's hear it. And I think bring those forward and let's have them right now, if they've got them. I think more of what I heard was about the person for the job and meeting the expectation of how they will interface with both the council and with the public and with the developers who are going to be, and again, I don't downplay that at all. It's incredibly important. But that's not what this item is about today. It's what the item will be about in the future when you start interviewing people. Absolutely. And I would highly recommend some sort of a procedure during the interviews to take that into account. I don't have an idea right now as to how to do that, but that certainly needs to come into account somehow. But really right now, we're just looking at what are the four corners of the job description?
Yeah, I would agree. It seems like the focus here is what are the needs, the skill sets, the levels of experience, the ability to do the job is not necessarily the job spec itself.
Sure.
And that information can be shared with all you folks well in advance of the interview process, so you have a flavor for at least what the community is looking for from this particular position.
Councilman Goodson, please.
Yes. I just wanted to redirect in regards to what this agenda item is, and it specifically is, I believe it's regarding a vote to create 2 standalone departments. That's what we're voting on, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification.
I just real quickly wanted to add myself that I will tell you that whenever you put postings like this, there are folks looking for these particular jobs and probably are weighing in on the video of this very meeting, listening to what you just said. So that'll give a heads up to those applicants that are going to come here and say, yeah, I heard what the council said, because most of the better applicants do a review of the city they're applying for. And it just happened in the recent city administrator where we hadn't even published the particular job app, and we got applications before we knew what was happening. So,
And we ended up with a great candidate.
yeah. So
They weren't available.
your input alone here is very valuable, just because it's recorded, and those applicants will probably see that. Councilman Riggs.
Thank you. I was going to say, based on what I heard Mr. Wong share, I wanted to just point out that in the job description, it says that the individual coordinates departmental activities with other departments, divisions, agencies, and private groups as appropriate. So I do believe that the needs that you brought up are addressed in the job description, and that it is also a council, and for anybody watching interested in these jobs, it is also a council priority to have good customer service, especially for our developers and for our residents. So I think that will definitely be taken into account in this process.
Thank you. Councilman Weber.
Yes, thank you. I was just going to mention that at our goal setting meeting, that what I think I'm hearing you guys say, and correct me if I'm wrong, at our goal setting meeting, we customer service came in second, I believe, in our and with roads being first and priorities for the city. And I would like to note that, and at that meeting there was predominantly city staff and council, with the exception of 2 citizens there, and I'm not even sure if the citizens actually participated in that. But if I hear you correctly, you're not disputing the job description. You're saying that customer service needs to be a priority. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually, I wasn't aware that there was a job that I had access to, so I just wasted your through that I.
Yeah. Okay. That's kind of what I thought.
Okay. Go for it.
So
Any
then,
other questions or comments? Go ahead.
I was just going to make the motion because it sounded like
So
that's
was
where we
I.
were.
Go for it.
So please do. Ellen,
Okay.
you
Well,
you already have my second.
I motion the approval of the modified community development director and public works director job descriptions and authorization for recruitment for both.
I second that.
Any question under the motion? Then we'll call for the vote.
Motion carries with 6 yeses and 1 absent.
Thank you all. At this point, we ask a second time if anyone would like to hear hearing of non-agenda items. We have this at the end. Public communication, any?
Mr. Mayor, I do not have any new blue speaker cards.
All right, thank you. Thanks, sir. Council announcements and reports. Any councilman have something to report? Councilman Riggs, excuse me.
Thank you. On behalf of the Downtown Business Association, I was just going to report on the Salsa Taste Off this Friday for their first Friday event. Salsa and margaritas in participating locations. And it is definitely a fun event, so I'd encourage those that are interested to attend. And I'm going to trust that Vice Mayor Smith on number 2 is going to talk about Feather Fiesta Days.
All right.
I'm not going to make that one.
Vice Mayor Smith.
How did she know? Yeah, so Feather Fiesta Days, which really started on the 29th with the Eagles, Fraternal Order of Eagles, having their rib kickoff, and we did a ribbon cutting for the Ozone. By the way, that's a pretty amazing place. They have all these little secret nooks and crannies, but I did bring up the question of mixing Feather Falls brew and axe throwing in a single establishment. They thought it was epic. Maybe it is. But they have a laser tag in there, and they just have all kinds of cool things in there. So it's certainly something to check out, and just really stoked about having more, family-friendly. Yeah. Anyway, events and opportunities here in our town. And then on Friday, we're going to have the Kitty Parade, hosted by the Kiwanis Club. And then, of course, the big parade, Feather Fiesta Day Parade, on Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. We also will be having the chili cook-off. It's being brought back. Our firefighters will be cooking off on the chili. And I believe there will be also beer available in the chili cook-off area as well. And then, of course, Oroville Cruisers have brought back the Gold Rush Car Show in the downtown area. That'll all be closed off. Just a ton of stuff going on in the downtown area, and we want all of you to come out and just enjoy all the festivities. And I do want to address something. Again, going back to social media, there was some questions about the city running all of these events. The fact is that the city runs really none of the events. The city invest a lot in ensuring that these events happen, whether it's law enforcement, there's a cost to the city, the cost of delivering all the barricades and just the management. The Chamber of Commerce, applied for the event for the permit, and it provides the umbrella, and then a lot of our community service agencies kind of come underneath that umbrella. But when the Exchange Club is running, like the parade, and the fees that are collected for that entry, that goes to the Exchange Club for that organization to decide how they're going to spend, and they use those monies to pay for the event. There's a lot of incidental costs that come along with that, and that's true with all of the various service agencies that provide. Really, where it's a community, driven event, and without all the various service agencies and volunteers, Feather Fiesta Days or Salmon Festival or many of these beloved events we have in our community wouldn't happen. And if you do have a concern about an event or how it's being run, then get involved. Get involved in the Exchange Club, become a member, or any of the other various service agencies that we have here in town that make these things click. So I would just encourage that. And then there's a lot of extra costs, post-COVID. For an example, I think I can speak to some authority on this. The Chamber of Commerce had to kick out almost an additional $1,200 this year to cover just the Feather Fiesta Days and insurance cost. So all these different groups that are providing, and Oroville Cruisers, I think their cost for the just for the one day to do the car show was an additional $800 for their insurance. So as all these service agencies struggle for limited dollars and funds, I know sometimes people get frustrated and want to know why there's a fee for this or that. Well, it's to pay for all these things. And I'm very appreciative of the city and just all of the commitment that they provide and the help and assistance. So it takes really a village to raise these amazing events. And I would just want to say thank you to everyone that participates and comes together to make it happen. Thank you.
Councilman Weber.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to, Pastor Spear touched on the One Hope for America event that many of us attended over the weekend. What a great event that was. You talk about like a really awesome opportunity for unity and community. And I really just enjoyed myself. I went all 3 nights and it was just a really good time. And I'm looking forward to that happening again. And then, just Feather Fiesta Days, it's one of my favorite events that we do as a city, and with everything being on the same weekend like it is now again, I think it's just going to be really great. And the last thing I want to say is this, and this is just a little bit of me being a little bit of cheesy, however you want to say. I just want to say thank you to all of you. I never in my life would I thought I'd ever be in the position I'm in right now, and to be in this position is just an amazing thing to be working side by side with such great folks, both on the dais and at the city level, and then representing you wonderful people, our constituents. And it's just super humbling, and I'm super grateful and thankful to be here. And I really appreciate all of you guys. And I appreciate all of you very much. So thank you very much.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate you, Councilman Weber. Any other councilman up? I'll throw my couple things. We did have a meeting of the executive committee, and there'll be a couple items coming forward to the full council recommended for a full agenda. I also want to make note of the SPCA benefit that the union had, I think it was Sunday, if I remember right. Very well attended, and there's a lot of pet owners in this town. I'll just say that. It was a lot. The SBF, Supplemental Benefits Fund, met last week too, and we had a discussion of communications and potential letters that would be offered to FERC and some of the other agencies. And then there'll be a report on the details of the settlement agreement coming to all the new members of the SBF. And then just for the general public to understand, it's Appendix A is a very large document, and we're going to try to help explain that to everyone. And then myself and the city administrator did have a meeting with the hospital last week, and we're moving forward with their request and getting the details squared away for that. So that'll be coming to a future agenda item. That's all I have. Anybody else? If not, we'll move to, any future agenda items the council would like to bring up. Councilman Goodson.
No future agenda items, but the Groundwater Sustainability Board has been meeting at least once a month. And so I know coming up, we'll have a report out. It'll be an agenda item from County Representative Cami, and how do you pronounce her last name?
Cami Loescher.
All right, thank you so much. I would never. And she will be providing some detail in regards to funding options. So look forward to that.
Councilman Johnstone.
Thank you. I would like to, for future agenda items, talk about solutions regarding our current shelter crisis. I know that we don't have enough beds currently to offer for our currently unhoused of the community, so I'd like to look at what options would possibly be available for that, and how we can help fulfill that need.
Okay, we can do something there.
I would second.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Councilman Goodson, are you back on?
Well, I wasn't, but now that I think about it.
It's funny how our memory comes about, doesn't it?
So I remember when I first came aboard, the council always had access to a free digital enterprise, the newspaper, Oroville Mercury.
Oh.
So I was wondering if we could bring that back.
Okay. Have the city administrator check into it.
It helps us to
now that
keep
she shook
well
my
informed.
memory.
It's true. I have my subscription.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also attended BCAG, Butte County Association of Governments, and two things that I want to mention. One is the mini transit system coming forward. The mini transit is going to be something like Uber, and they're going to use smaller vehicles than the full-size buses, and it'll be a system where you'll be able to actually make a phone call and they pick you up at your home, which is a very different thing, and that's soon to come. They've done the study. They're working on the details. I'm not sure of a startup date, but it's been very successfully used up in Truckee and other cities. And if it'll be a transportation to your home, to maybe the transit center or someplace else in town that you may need. So more things coming with that. There's also a good discussion about having non-medical emergency transportation to doctor's visits. That's another possibility that's coming through the system that's being evaluated now, so that they'll be able to provide that service for folks that need to get to their medical appointments. And the other one is they have to place an order for new electric buses because there's a demand for zero emissions coming 2030 or something, and they had to order 5 new buses at $1 million a piece. A piece, folks. And the charging station for 2 buses is $500,000 each. So it's just, it's like, oh my goodness, so.
Tell them how far they go.
Oh, he was in the same shock I was. 200 miles, folks.
On a good day.
On a good day,
Downhill.
with the wind and a light load. Honest to God, this is what was said. This is honest to God. I'm not making this up. It's like that, and they won't be going to paradise. They don't have the torque to make the hill. So that's coming. It's kind of a demand from the state, and even us at BCAG, we're all shaking our heads like, really? But they're coming, and I have to admit, I want to give the staff at BCAG credit, because they were looking for alternatives to zero emissions, that's something like a hybrid or a hydrogen-powered or natural gas-powered or something else that would have at least the horsepower to make the hill to paradise.
Fred Flintstone power.
But there's 27 buses in the fleet, and we don't know that, well, we don't have the electrical capacity to recharge all those buses at night at one time. There's a whole lot of, how are you gonna do, a lot of questions. And yeah. Yes, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
Can we fight this?
No, I wish we could, because even the staff at BCAG was not happy. In fact, some of them said, thank God I'm going to be retiring at the end of the year.
Never can.
And as you can see, Vice Mayor Smith and I, we were somewhat negatively enjoying the meeting, but it was like, are you kidding me? So anyway, I just want to give that report that we're all working hard on a lot of different things, and that one just took me for a loop. It's like, $1 million a piece? I thought maybe 5 buses would cost $1 million, but not at $1 million a piece, so. Anyway, that's.
Might as well buy another fire truck.
Oh, that's cheap. I mean.
For Austrian Electric.
Yeah. All right, I think we're done with council reports. How about administrative reports? Staff, anybody?
Oh, I just want to let you know that I am working on the budget. And it's
Good deal.
a lot of fun. It will be coming to you in June, and then we have to pass it at the first meeting in July. So we are compiling all the department requests, and I'll be working with Brian once we get a draft together, but it is in progress, so looking for that soon.
I'm seeing Dawn right next to you. Can you tell us about Lincoln Street?
Yes, the latest multifamily housing apartment project is the Lincoln Street Affordable Development. Currently, Phase 1 is undergoing grading. That is a 61-unit project that targets low and very low income families. Phase 2 will be also 61 units targeting seniors. 2 and 3 bedroom apartments for that location. So there will be a community center and a playground for the families who have children.
I asked a lot, but we're getting a lot of phone calls on that one up on Lincoln. So if everyone knows where we're talking about it, Lincoln just south of Wyandotte, down in that hole, yes. And it'll be a nice project for Southside. We're really happy about it.
And also with that, the city has applied for and been awarded $17 million in CDBG disaster funds for that project and $2.5 million in PLHA funding for that project. Also, the developer has received tax credits for Phase 1, and they're applying for tax credits for Phase 2.
And the one person that would normally tell us, Amy, she's on vacation right now, but I asked that that report be done because to her kudos, that's a big deal. That department has done very well to put that project together. And it's had its ups and downs, but at this point, it's really nice to see dirt being turned up there. So
Definitely.
thanks to the housing department, big time.
I have a few other items from community development. If you've driven by Hewitt Park recently, you'll notice that there's been some activity there. The bocce ball courts are being converted into 2 basketball courts for the Phase 2 project, and the Public Works crew is also going to be doing the rough grading in advance of the construction crew for that project. This will allow us to have a cost savings. We won't have to pay the prevailing wage that we would through the grant process for the demolition and grading. We're going to save a couple $100,000 there that we can reapply into that park because the costs are going up as these estimates are being received through our consultant. Secondarily, the Earth Day celebration went well on April 22nd. Butte Environmental Council, along with Chico State volunteers and Butte College volunteers, planted 11 trees with our park staff. The FBO grand opening event that Sunday was very well attended. There was fixed wing, helicopters, gyro, lots of classic cars. There was a lot of people there and a delicious taco truck. And the community development, or the community meeting for the Feather River Master Plan project was held last Wednesday after the day following the State of the City address, and that was well attended. We had a lot of good input from the public, and other agencies were there in support of that project. And for the building division recognition tonight, I didn't want to embarrass them, but they're a great crew of staff members that have developed this building division team. They're doing such a great job trying to reevaluate application processes, trying to make those smoother for our developers, really just trying to make it a better, more cohesive department for the community. So kudos to them.
Thank you. Mr. Belzer, next.
Yeah, I just want to let you know the code enforcement is closing 3 major cases that we've been working on for over a year. One is the burn commercial structure at Lincoln and B. We were in the abatement warrant process, and the property owner received the final letter and actually had a crew go out and clear that area up, and it looks a lot nicer. Then the nuisance property at Linden across from Oroville High School, that's just finished a probate process, and we actually found these properties I talk about, a lot of them have dead owners, and they just sit, and they have no trust, no will. So working with Colin Huber and my staff, we're able to get a hold of a property owner who actually got that through probate. They have it fenced off now, and they've started the cleaning process and got rid of the squatters on their own without even the use of the police department, which was nice. And then the nuisance property across from Pacific Coast Producers on Veach, that's closing escrow in a couple weeks, so that will be demoed before too long and turned into a parking lot. So those 3 cases that we had continued to have to board up houses or move people off the property using the police department, and that's a good milestone for my team. In April, I also like to let you know that they had opened up 61 nuisance property cases and have closed 50 of those. So we're getting really good response from the community. And as far as Feather Fiesta Days goes, I challenged my administrative assistant with putting together a information and education booth. We'll be out there.
Oh, good.
Some of my team will be out there to answer some questions, hand out flyers as far as safety goes and the municipal codes and why you need a building permit and when you don't need one. So there'll be a little swag to give away, and So it's a good project and hope to see you guys out there.
I got to tell you, when we had the pictures of the removals of buildings and whatnot, I think there was another standing ovation at the State of the City. That was.
Yes.
It's very frustrating, but it's good to see things actually happening. And I think I got 3 calls on the B in Lincoln gas station being gone, so thank you very much, and thanks staff for it. It's a process, and that's been a big one to get done, so appreciate that. Who's there hiding underneath the table? Oh, go ahead, Councilman Goodson.
Yes, thank you so much, Ron. I was able to post pictures of the B in Lincoln project with the gas. I don't even know, would you call it a gas station anymore?
In the 70s,
It's antiquated.
it was the gas
But
mart.
there's a lot of conversation about that. It's been a long time coming. And so I know people are going to be wondering, and if you can speak to it, why, what is the process to have those antiquated gas pumps removed, and let them know that I believe that if the owner of the property was to sell the property, he could actually sell those. So he doesn't have to be responsible for the removal before a sale of a property.
Yeah,
Am
so
I
that,
correct?
that'll, is all handled through Butte County Environmental Health. That isn't something that we handle.
Mhm.
But they will, it depends on what needs to be developed there or how it's developed, and also depends on the negotiation between the owner and a possible buyer of that property, how that process will work. But it'll definitely happen through Butte County. Additionally, the pumps that, or the tanks that are in there, they're old steel tanks. They've never been relined. They're not sand protected on the bottom. But there is value in those depending on the condition. You know, they can actually go in and tell you how much wear is in the tank, how thin the walls of the tank are. But there's 2 8,600-gallon tanks in the ground there.
Okay.
So there are farmers, there's other industries that buy those. And they
Okay.
do have value.
Thank you. And one other thing, prior to the leveling of the land for the Lincoln project, could you give us a snapshot of what that entailed in regards to moving squatters and encampments? Because that was really huge. They were at a crunch deadline, and that needed to be resolved first.
So ultimately, you know, like I talk about, our success in code enforcement doesn't happen without the police department. It doesn't happen without the MLEs. The housing navigator, we get our team together, we go out and, you know, explain, we're not tough on people. We understand that the issues that are out there with the unhoused and the lack of shelters. But it's someone's private property and it needs to be developed. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you're trespassing on someone's property. But like I say, we are very easy about it. We follow the law, we follow procedure, and you know, it takes a lot. There's some people that'll stand their ground, you know, and ultimately, nobody was arrested, and you know, everybody was moved on. And the developer took responsibility for all the trash that was there. As you saw, they abated that in a hurry. So that was the process.
All right, thank you so much.
Cool. Who's next? How about, is it police department? Okay. All right, Brian.
Yeah, just real quick, I want to piggyback on what Ruth mentioned, that obviously the budget is a big priority this time of the year. And I know capital expenditure, or capital requests have been submitted. I think staff requests, are those still coming in, Ruth? Were those due last Friday? I can't recall.
I think we've got them all.
Yeah.
Yep.
So again, the staffing request, we're really going to focus on, as was mentioned by Councilman Weber, at the goals and priorities of customer service. So we're really going to obviously look to try to see what our needs are to try to better meet the needs of our constituents. Obviously balancing everything else, anticipating what our revenues look like, and obviously all the other things that we talked about at the last council meeting that we need to start thinking about too, our unfunded liabilities, saving for the future, and et cetera. So my goal is to, once we get the budget done, obviously it will come before the full council for adoption, but would be to meet with each one of you and kind of go over it, just to share with you what the package looks like. So stay tuned for that.
Okay. Liz, you have anything? I'm good. You're good? All right. I'm gonna ask Jackie to take a special recognition tonight, because the whole State of the City thing was her idea, and it turned out very well. It was well attended, and then the idea that we recognize all the youth groups was part of the council's idea. So I think it ended up being a very nice
It was
affair. And it's well done, and my worry is we'll probably have to do the same thing next year.
Absolutely, yes.
So thank you, Jackie, for putting that together. We appreciate that.
Good job.
Brian and Jordan and several other people played a huge role
Oh, yeah.
in bringing it all together too.
Yeah, putting the PowerPoint together and everything else and keeping it real on task. I think we're out there an hour and a half, so that was really good, so. And the staff at the State Theater was wonderful too. They helped out. So, good deal, good event, nice talk. Anything else, anyone? If not, I consider adjourning the meeting. For the next regular meeting would be Oroville City Council will be held on May 18th, 2023 at 4 p.m. We are adjourned, folks. Before dinner.